What if I told you that one of the world's most captivating cities is hiding in plain sight, masquerading as something it's not? Imagine walking through streets that feel like Paris or Milan, yet you're thousands of miles away, in the heart of South America. This isn't just a matter of architecture. It's a national identity crisis carved in stone and marble. This is Buenos Aires, a city built on a European dream that became a uniquely Latin American reality. The story of Argentina isn't found in a travel guide. It's whispered in the tango halls, debated over endless cups of mate, and screamed from the football stadiums. This journey isn't about seeing the sights. It's about understanding why they exist. Join me as we peel back the layers of this beautiful, tragic, and utterly fascinating nation. Our story begins with the illusion, the grand European facade. When you first step into the core neighborhoods of Buenos Aires like Recoleta or Palermo, your senses are scrambled. The wide, tree-lined boulevards evoke the Champs-Élysées. The Haussmann-style apartment buildings with their ornate wrought iron balconies and mansard roofs feel torn directly from the streets of Paris. The Teatro Colón, the city's opulent opera house, boasts acoustics that rival any in Europe and has hosted the likes of Caruso and Pavarotti. For a fleeting moment, you could be forgiven for thinking you took a wrong turn and ended up across the Atlantic. This was entirely by design. Between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Argentina was not just developing, it was exploding. Fueled by the seemingly infinite fertility of its vast plains, the Pampas, it became one of the world's great exporters of grain and beef. The money that flowed into the capital was staggering. Argentina was, per capita, one of the wealthiest nations on earth. This was its belle époque, its gilded age, and the ruling elite, the landowning oligarchy, sought to build a capital that reflected their global status. They looked not to their Latin American neighbors for inspiration, but to the cultural capitals of Europe. It was a deliberate, conscious choice to build a European city in the middle of the South American wilderness. A statement that they were different, that they were civilized. This ambition became a powerful magnet. While the United States had its Ellis Island, Argentina had the port of Buenos Aires. Between 1870 and 1930, the country's population quadrupled, flooded by nearly 7 million immigrants, mostly from Italy and Spain, escaping poverty and turmoil in their homelands. They filled the city's conventillos, crowded tenements, bringing with them their dialects, their food, their music, and their dreams. They gave Argentina its distinctive accent, a melodic, Italian-inflected Spanish. They gave it pizza, pasta, and a profound love of family gatherings. They built the subway, the first in the Southern Hemisphere, a testament to a future that seemed limitless. But this grand European dream, built on the back of immigrant labor and funded by commodities, was always just that, a dream. It was a beautiful, imported skin stretched thinly over a complex, often brutal, Latin American reality. The elegant ghost of Europe that still haunts the avenues of Buenos Aires is the first, most crucial clue to understanding the profound, often painful, contradiction at the heart of Argentina. A nation with the aspirations of the first world, but the recurring nightmares of the developing one. The real question isn't just how it became so rich, but how it all fell so catastrophically apart. To understand modern Argentina, its cyclical economic chaos, its ferociously passionate politics, its cynical yet endlessly resilient people, we must journey back to the moment the dream began to crack. The fall from grace wasn't a single event, but a slow, painful unraveling, and the story of this decline is inextricably linked to one name: Juan Domingo Perón was a charismatic army colonel who understood something the ruling elite did not: the power of the masses. In the 1940s, he spoke directly to the descamisados, the shirtless ones, the forgotten industrial workers and rural laborers who had built the country's wealth, but shared in none of its spoils. He was a master of populism, but his greatest asset was his wife, the magnetic and ambitious actress Eva Dort, soon to be known to the world as Evita. Together, they formed an unstoppable political force. Evita, in particular, became a secular saint, a champion of the poor, who channeled state resources through her own foundation, handing out everything from sewing machines to housing. She was adored by the working class and despised by the elite, who saw her as a vulgar social climber. Her early death from cancer at 33 cemented her place as a national myth, an icon of hope and social justice. Peronism, the movement they created, fundamentally reshaped Argentina. It raised wages, expanded social benefits, and gave a powerful voice to the unions. But its economic doctrine, known as import substitution industrialization, was a double-edged sword. It aimed for national self-sufficiency by protecting local industries with high tariffs. While this created jobs, it also created a closed, inefficient economy that couldn't compete on the world stage. The state swelled, nationalizing key sectors like the railways and public utilities, creating a vast bureaucracy that became a source of political patronage. The system was built on spending, not on sustainable growth. When the commodity boom that funded this generosity inevitably faded after World War II, the cracks began to show. What followed were decades of crippling political instability. The military, seeing itself as the ultimate arbiter of the nation's destiny, repeatedly intervened, overthrowing civilian governments in a vicious cycle of coups and counter-coups. This political violence culminated in the darkest chapter of Argentine history. On March 24, 1976, a military junta seized power, launching what it called the process of national reorganization. The world would come to know it as the Guerra Sucia, the Dirty War. It was a systematic campaign of state-sponsored terror aimed at annihilating all left-wing dissent. Using unmarked Ford Falcons that became symbols of fear, security forces kidnapped, tortured, and murdered tens of thousands of people. The victims were students, artists, unionists, journalists, psychologists, anyone suspected of subversive thoughts. They became the desaparecidos, the disappeared. They were taken to hundreds of secret detention centers, like the infamous Navy Petty Officers School, ESMAD, in the heart of Buenos Aires, a place of unimaginable horror hidden in plain sight. This wasn't just a political purge. It was a war on a generation, an attempt to erase an entire way of thinking. The distrust in institutions, the deep-seated cynicism towards power, the raw emotional nature of its politics, it all has roots in this period of terror and loss. The fall from grace wasn't just economic, it was a profound moral and social collapse from which Argentina has never fully recovered. How does this troubled past manifest today? You see it everywhere, but most acutely in the schizophrenic relationship Argentines have with their own money. Welcome to the surreal world of the dollar blue. In Argentina, there isn't just one price for a US dollar. There is the official government rate, and then there is the dollar blue, the black market rate you get from men who whisper, "Cambio, cambio," on pedestrian streets or in unofficial exchange houses called cuevas or caves. This rate can be nearly double the official one, and it's the rate that dictates the real price of almost everything. This chaotic system is the direct result of a history of broken trust. Decades of hyperinflation, sudden devaluations, and government confiscation of savings have completely destroyed faith in the Argentine peso. The 2001 economic collapse was the ultimate trauma. After years of a pegged exchange rate, the country defaulted on its massive foreign debt. The government froze bank accounts in an event known as the Corralito, trapping people's life savings. The ensuing riots, the cacerolazos where millions banged pots and pans in protest, and the spectacle of 5 presidents in 2 weeks scarred the national psyche. People learned a bitter lesson: the peso is a melting ice cube, and the only safe haven is the US dollar. This creates a bizarre daily reality. Landlords often demand rent in dollars. Prices for electronics or imported goods are quoted in dollars. Supermarkets are in a constant state of remarcation, with employees running around putting new price stickers on products as the peso's value plummets. For a tourist earning in a stable foreign currency, this system makes Argentina incredibly affordable. But for the 46 million Argentines earning in pesos, it's a waking nightmare. It's a society living on the edge, where long-term planning feels like a fool's errand. This economic desperation is the engine behind much of the street crime. There is a profound, if unspoken, understanding of the despair that can drive someone to rob. It's a system where the normal rules of a stable economy simply do not apply. So, in a state of perpetual crisis, how do people not just survive, but live? The observation of a society focused on partying is not entirely wrong, but calling it simple hedonism misses the point. It's a deeply ingrained cultural defense mechanism. When the future is a fog of uncertainty, the present moment, the now, becomes everything. This philosophy is the very soul of Argentina, and it's expressed most powerfully in its cultural rituals. Tango, for instance, was not born in glamorous ballrooms. It emerged in the late 19th century from the gritty, working, class-poor neighborhoods of Buenos Aires, from the brothels and bars filled with lonely European immigrants and marginalized locals. It is a dance of passion, yes, but its lyrics, sung by icons like Carlos Gardel, speak of betrayal, lost love, and a deep existential melancholy. The close embrace of the dance is not just sensual, it's a fleeting moment of connection and solace in a harsh, indifferent world. To watch tango is to see the story of Argentina, a dramatic, passionate dance between hope and despair. If tango is the soul's lament, the asado is the heart's communion. To call it a barbecue is a profound understatement. The asado is a sacred, all-day ritual. It's about the slow, deliberate process, meticulously preparing the fire, patiently cooking various cuts of meat, from chorizo and morcillas blood sausage to ribs, adjuntada asado, and flank steak vecchio. Over several hours, it's a testament to the importance of friendship and family, the social bonds that hold society together when its formal institutions so often fail. In a country defined by political division, the asado is a powerful act of unity. And then there is the figure of the gaucho. The Argentine cowboy of the Pampas is a national myth. Historically a nomadic horseman, fiercely independent, and living by his own code of honor. The gaucho represents a romantic ideal of freedom and connection to the land. His story is immortalized in the epic poem Martin Fierro, a cornerstone of Argentine literature. While the traditional gaucho lifestyle has all but vanished, his spirit lives on in the culture of the asado and the deep, seated value placed on loyalty and personal dignity. This cultural fabric is also intellectual. Buenos Aires is a city of bookstores, more per capita than almost any other in the world. This is the land of Jorge Luis Borges, whose labyrinthine stories explored the infinite and the paradoxical, and of Julio Cortázar, whose revolutionary novel Hopscotch invited readers to choose their own path through its pages. This Republic of Letters provides a crucial counterpoint to the stereotype of a purely passionate, emotional people. It reveals a deep-seated intellectual curiosity and a love for the complexities of language and ideas. This entire cultural tapestry of passion, intellect, and ritual is what allows Argentines to carve out moments of beauty and meaning amidst the chaos. And there is one place where all the country's passion, frustration, hope, and tribalism explodes into a weekly spectacle, the football pitch. To say Argentines love football is like saying they need oxygen. It is a secular religion, and for decades, its chief god was a flawed, brilliant man, Diego Maradona. He wasn't just a player, he was a symbol. He was the pipe, the kid from the slums, who with his divine talent and street-smart cunning took on the world and won. His infamous Hand of God goal against England in the 1986 World Cup, just 4 years after the humiliating defeat in the Falklands War, was seen as divine retribution, a victory for the underdog. He was the perfect metaphor for Argentina itself, capable of sublime, God-like genius and spectacular, all too human self-destruction. He was loved not despite his flaws, but because of them. Today, there is a new god, Lionel Messi. But the relationship is different. Messi is a globalized, professional product of Barcelona's refined La Masia Academy. He is admired, respected, revered for his otherworldly consistency. But Maradona was loved with a visceral, chaotic passion. This duality is itself very Argentine, the tension between the homegrown, rebellious rogue and the polished, international superstar. This religion has its cathedrals and its most sacred rivalry. The Superclásico between Boca Juniors and River Plate divides Buenos Aires in two. It's a clash of class, identity, and history. To attend a game at Boca's stadium, La Bombonera, is to feel the entire structure literally shake as the fans jump in unison. It's a beautiful, terrifying, and unforgettable experience where, for 90 minutes, the economic crisis and political turmoil fade away. There is only the tribe. Beyond the intoxicating chaos of the capital, Argentina unfolds into a land of staggering scale and raw beauty. And it is here, at its remote edges, that you find other unsettled national ghosts. The most sensitive of these is the issue of Las Malvinas, or as the British call them, the Falkland Islands. The 1982 war was a desperate gamble by a failing dictatorship to distract from its atrocities. The swift defeat was a national humiliation that led directly to the junta's collapse. For Argentines, the islands are more than a territorial claim. They are an open wound, a symbol of lost pride and military folly. It is a topic best avoided. To truly grasp Argentina, you must venture out. Travel south, deep into Patagonia, a realm of wind, ice, and profound silence. Stand before the Perito Moreno Glacier, a colossal river of ice that groans and calves massive icebergs into a turquoise lake. Hike the jagged granite spires of Mount Fitzroy, or travel northeast to the border with Brazil and be humbled by the overwhelming power of the Aguasa Falls, a chain of hundreds of cascades thundering into a gorge known as the Devil's Throat. This is nature so immense it verges on the spiritual, a humbling counterpoint to the man-made drama of the city. From the sun-drenched vineyards of Mendoza to the surreal, multi-colored canyons of Salta, Argentina is a continent within a country, too vast and complex to be captured by any single narrative. In the end, we return to Buenos Aires, no longer seeing a European ghost, but a city that is defiantly, beautifully, and tragically itself. It's a place where magnificent opera houses stand just blocks from crumbling tenements, where a history of immense wealth lives side by side with the daily struggle for survival, and where a profound national melancholy fuels an unquenchable thirst for the present moment. To visit Argentina is to learn that a country is not just its triumphs or its tragedies, but the intricate, often painful, and always passionate dance between the two. It's a lesson in resilience, a masterclass in the art of living fully in the face of absolute uncertainty. What part of Argentina's story surprised you the most? The economic paradox of the dollar blue, the deep meaning behind tango, or the intensity of its football culture? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this journey opened a new perspective for you, please share it with a fellow traveler who loves to look deeper than the surface. And subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating and misunderstood places. Thank you for joining this exploration. See you on the next journey.